What's up, everybody? Midjourney Fast Hours. We're doing things a little bit different today. Rory's traveling internationally. We've got a busy week, but we promised that we would deliver. So here we are. We got an episode that we're going to go a little bit off the cuff here. Not a lot of planning ahead of time, so we'll kind of see where things take us. But having said that, a lot going on with Midjourney. Office hours today. We're recording this on a Wednesday. A lot of updates, a lot of big updates, a lot of updates even from last week. So I think that makes for a very interesting conversation as we're trying to keep up to date with some of these changes, what's in the fold, upcoming features, what's changed, the vision, all that good stuff. So we're back here with you today. And I think what we're doing, right, Rory, Midjourney After Dark, I mean, we're gonna bring a little glass along with us.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. What do you got over there?
Well, this is always a big decision for me. I'm a very, situational kind of decision maker when it comes to drinks. It was 95 degrees today. I was like, you know what? Gin and tonic sounds like the move. It just felt appropriate. I don't know, but what do you got?
Yeah, so wife and I opened a bottle of white wine earlier.
Okay.
Took a little break to put the kids down to sleep. Now, a little whiskey after dark. So,
Dad time. Daddy juice.
You know what? We deserve it. We're both dads. We're working hard. We're grinding.
Man, this is I have to say we are just dropped the baby off with grandma, so we are now, I don't know, what is this, like a full night of sleep? I don't know how this feels. I'm very, very concerned that I'm still gonna wake up like it's a normal like 3 o'clock screaming session. But dude, I mean, I rarely get to have a drink. I don't know. We're at 9:15 p.m. right now. I rarely get to have a drink. I'm normally in bed. So whatever you guys hearing right now, you're hearing like total stream of consciousness, no thought, just vibes rolling right now. So
I think listeners are gonna miss Baby Faye, in the background,
just screaming in the background always.
Yeah, man. I mean,
every single
for real.
time.
So my kids are asleep. Your kids with grandparents. This is night number 2 with just you and your wife. I mean, alone, bro. How does that feel? I mean,
oh my God, we slept till 6:05 yesterday.
Amazing.
Or this morning. Sorry, see, I don't even know what day it is. It's just like woke up. I'm like, why is it somewhat light outside? This is weird. I don't get it. My dog is all out of whack. We're all out of whack. So all it takes is one 12-pound baby human to just direct the ship, and then before you know, you don't even know how to live without her. So it's crazy though, man. It's crazy.
For those of you that don't know, Rory's thick in the woods. This guy's 3 months in. He's in it. He's still got a little bit of ways to go before he gets out of that first year. So the fact that he gets to travel, do a little trip, do a little speaking internationally, man, you're a lucky guy, man. I haven't done an international trip since the kids were born. I'm 3.5 years in, and it is killing me. It is absolutely killing me, dude. So if anything,
we initially hit it off on that too. We were talking like random spots that we had been, and it was like, oh, Drew likes to do some crazy stuff.
Yeah,
like
we were
that.
talking about we
Yeah.
were talking about Italy. You were telling me. I mean, because I know you guys have gone a lot. That's another spot we're trying to go back to, explore the southern part, Sicily, Sardinia.
Hell yeah.
All that good stuff.
Hell
man.
yeah! For everyone who's listening now, I am heading to Budapest for a speaking engagement next week. So, look, Budapest probably never in my top 5 of places to go. It's always been in there of like, I want to go there. I want to go check it out.
I've actually heard it's pretty dope.
Yeah. But it's never like, does it top some of the other things on the list first? It's always been hard to like kind of maximize that with the time that you have, right? I want to go. When do I go? Am I ever going to go? Then you get invited to go speak somewhere and you're like, hell yeah. Now let's force the issue. We're going to Budapest. So I'm amped about that, man. I don't know. Like I was just telling you before, I don't know the language. I tried. I was like, normally I try to like chameleon my way in to a situation like that.
Give me your hello, man.
I think I looked it up and it was hello. That was,
no,
or at least
come on,
that
dude.
swear to God, it was like I did Google Translate and it was like hello in English, hello in Hungarian. It was
I don't believe that.
Hello.
I don't believe that for 1 second. Nah, no way.
I don't even remember the other ones. I got to look them up before I get on the plane, or else I'm going to be a total fool.
Because Russian's Privyet. My wife speaks Russian, so like I'm surrounded
really?
by that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. If I could remember, it was like, good morning was like Kezhem or something like that. Guys, I'm sorry for butchering. If there's anyone here from Hungary, please don't hate me. I'm trying. I'm going to try to learn before I go on the airplane, maybe, or at least like listen to some people say it and then regurgitate it. I'll do my best. There's only so much that can stick in this
Oh
brain right
man,
now.
that's gonna be an awesome trip, dude. And I mean,
Yeah,
the
man.
fact that you guys had a couple nights before the trip too, that's dope. Like ease into it. Like kind of take a deep breath. It's not so chaotic. Then you make the trip, and I know you're going a few days early, so like it doesn't feel like too stressful. You know what I mean?
Need it because this time, when I did this in Bangkok in December, my wife was pregnant, so it wasn't as chaotic. And I'm thinking about the last couple speaking engagements I've done. I've had like I go into this hole for 5-6 days. I just like 12 hours on the presentation, write the speech, like make the revisions, nail it out. This time I've been working on it for like 3 weeks, and I was basically down to the wire today to finish this thing. Every time I get going, it's like poop in the pants. Every time I get going, screaming fit. I'm like, oh my God, I need more than 2 hours at a time to work on this. But hey, baby, Faye, I love you. Just, every once in a while, it's 2 to 3 hours. That's all I need. She's very vocal now, very, very assertive in her young age.
I mean, it'll start to get a little fun now. But did you just say you pooped in your pants? Because I thought I caught that.
Not me, but I end up getting the secondhand poop from Faye pooping her pants. It gets either all over me. I'm sure. Hey,
Okay.
parents are listening. Holding the baby on the chest. Trying to have a nice sweet moment. End up with poop on the shirt. Then sometimes you don't even notice because you're so tired. You walk outside to walk your dog in the middle of New York with shit all over your shirt. So that's how this stuff goes.
Don't miss the blowouts, dude. Blowouts
Don't
out
miss
the
them.
back. Whew.
Oh man, all the time. This is Midjourney After Dark, by the way. This is the
Yes,
the
it
hard
is.
hitting stuff you don't get to hear on our normal episode. But it is funny when it happens because you just like you hear it, you know what's going on. You make that dash to the bathroom or to the changing table. Please don't let it be everywhere. Don't want it to, my nightmare is it happening in like the swaddle or in like her little sleep situation because then that would just be like a whole. That's like a 3 a.m. We got to go in the bath kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. Have you got the poop in the tub yet?
Not yet. We're still sink baby, so I'm
Okay.
sure that'll happen fairly soon though.
At least
Poop's
once.
been-
At least once.
Yeah, every bodily fluid has been all over me for the last 3 months. So what's some poop in the tub?
What's some poop in the What's some poop in the tub?
That's
a
the name of the
perfect
episode.
Way to go into this episode. We might call it that. We'll see. Check back with us. We'll see if they allow it.
Don't
But,
censor us, YouTube.
Please don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna get a little ratchet with this, but at the same time, like let's jump into like office hours updates. I feel bad, guys, because normally I'm sitting in on this. I have a chance to really digest this. Did not get a chance to sit on this one live, but we do have all the notes. Read through all the notes. Lots of changes. Lots of changes even from last week, as I mentioned. So let's dive into that, man. I'll get us started, and then we can just bounce back and forth. We got a
Totally.
lot to update the people on. So first things first, personalization. Let's talk about upcoming features and updates here. Personalization system. So we kind of hinted at this, if not alluded to it last time, which is there's going to be a system with multiple personalization profiles that roll out, right? And now how that works in terms of, is it going to give you a different personalization, code or profile per style, or how that's going to work, the inner workings of that? I'm not really sure that they've laid that out yet. But I do think, if nothing else, right, what we can glean from that is that's going to be even more powerful and versatile to take in, right? You're not trapped into one single personalization model that you may or may not be happy with, right? You have more than one option. From a versatility standpoint, a creativity standpoint, that's a great thing. So they mentioned that general upgrade with that as well for diversity in the styles, better understanding of variations and dependencies in the user preference. And in terms of the release, don't have a date on that, but soon.
Soon.
So if that helps, either 1 week from now, 1 month from now,
Tomorrow.
2 quarters from now, we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's what you need to know about personalization.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm very curious to see how this continues to roll out because it's been so, I don't know. It's very unique in the way that it was with Style Tuner to what it is now, and how it's sort of just like automatically updating and you're getting new codes. I'm thinking about like from a UX perspective, like how to make this easier or simpler, right? Like, is it a button, like the same way you add style? Would it be add personalization, to it? but also have like a drop down with your codes. So you could do that. Could it be naming your codes? However, if you're able to do that, like instead of my random, 2VWXY36,
Yeah.
sounds like a like a football play. Um, would like to maybe name that, style one, or I don't know, just whatever comes to my mind. Pink apple. I don't get it. I mean, I don't know. So I'm just trying to figure out where this goes and how we'll actually be able to remember the versions of our style code, because that seems to me like the biggest variable in all of this.
Right now, it updates as you rank images. So your
Right.
style code's always changing. It's a variable, it's dynamic all the time. I love the fact earlier, right, where you had the one and you knew what it was and it was more static. So this seems like, where we're at right now is more or less a temporary state. But yeah, you're right. I have no idea how they're going to do that. And it seems like with a lot of the updates that we're going to talk through and that we've talked to recently, is this seems like almost a little bit of that inflection point or fork in the road where Midjourney's starting to kind of like really be a little bit more unique in terms of where they're going versus where these other AI generation platforms are going, right? Like they're
Totally.
just it's different. And so we've talked about style reference. We went so deep on that last time. We've talked about personalization right now and before. And so those are like two of those core things that I think are just totally unique to Midjourney. But yeah, it seems like now's the time where they're just going to go further and further in separate directions, especially with things like 3D video. Those things are supposed to be different than anything we've ever seen, almost like a new medium. So how do we interpret that? What does that look like, right? So yes, I like a lot of interesting things. Also a lot of like challenges for them to work this into the UI and then provide a good UX user experience at the same time.
I got to be honest, like they've been so impressive with being able to handle all these different controls and parameters and everything and fit them into a system that I tend to think is fairly simple compared to what it could be. I mean,
Pretty intuitive.
right? I mean, you open something like Comfy UI and you go into one of those nodes and you just try to interpret that for a first time, from a first timer perspective. You're like, I don't even know what is steps, what is seed, what is this, right? Like, I don't know what that means, the first time I went in there, and then I had to figure it out. But this to me is just they've done a good job, especially on something like the editor, right? We talked about that, where it's like we wanted a few different things, and they kind of figured out a way to combine it all and make it seamless, which I was like, whoa, from the Photoshop style, drag and kind of resize to, the brush strokes to, the changing of the scaling feature or the cropping feature. It was just like that was a really smart, concise way to do it. So I'm just shouting out Midjourney on that one.
Let's touch on that for a second with the
Yeah.
editor too, because last time we recorded, it was less than 48 hours of a release. Like I think we were still trying to wrap our heads around it. I mean, we showed quite a bit. We demoed it. We, obviously explained all the different things that it could do, but I think it's about as good as it can get for like this new thing that's really jammed all these things together. Obviously, there are some things that I think will improve over time, like the scale out, right? If you're going to scale all the way down to 10, do something extreme.
Yeah.
That's where you're like trying to break it, right? It's got we dove into that one example where if you started close, change the image. We hadn't seen that before. Also, 10% is quite a drastic
Yeah,
kind of
big
thing,
one.
right? I mean, that's you have an image and then you're keeping a tenth of it and then you're building around that. Like that's a whole new concept in itself. The way that whole scale out thing works, you're seeing sort of that breaking point with some of the things we've talked about in the past with pan and zoom out, how it starts to add these weird elements or stretch or skew things in a weird way. So I think that's an obvious opportunity. But other than that, the ability to drag, fix composition, easily change aspect ratios, crop in. Like I think I've been using that a little bit too, right?
It's
Where it's
great.
like I went a little too far now. Let me get back in, center this, move it to the left, the right. All that versatility is amazing. I think this also got mentioned in the office hours, which we'll get to too. But I think there was some mention of like brush size getting even a little bit smaller.
Cool.
Like when you go all the way down, it's still a little big, but like maybe those more micro changes. But I'm loving editor. What about you,
I
man?
think it's great, man. We had a couple comments on, that people weren't enjoying it so much. I find it to be less about like I need to make big changes and I need to make small changes, right? Like I think that's more so how I'm using it right now. But when I've tried to go big and creative on it, I can get there. It's just you can't do it all in one generation. It has to be, if you wanted to me, if I wanted to scale down to 10%, like if that was the original vision, I'd probably be doing it in 5 or 6 steps.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it just, the same way from doing maybe custom zoom or things like that. The more, if you zoom too much, like you get the weird artifacts and things on the edges. But in this case, if you did it by one zoom, custom zoom 1.2, custom zoom 1.2, custom zoom 1.2, you're gonna get like consistency. So unfortunately, it's not going to save us some fast hours there, but you're going to be able to get what you want. You just got to do it a little bit of patience. So
Yeah, I
that's
mean, the other thing I think that's getting like glossed over is the fact that you can accomplish multiple things in one regeneration now, right?
yeah,
Like, so you could, for example, do the custom zoom and do a reposition of the composition in one fell swoop, whereas before you would have to run it, then do something like.
yeah.
So again, condensing, some of those steps, I think is also another benefit.
Maybe I should pull up an example of this because I was trying to test this. It's probably good to show here on the
Yeah.
editor. So let's take a look at some of these examples, right? I think I showed this example a couple weeks ago of just this face with some smoke on it. This one, to me, if I just wanted to go and scale this out and make some subtle changes, like normally when I'm doing this, if I'm going into editor and I'm like highlighting the lips and I'm saying neon lips, I'm not getting what I want. I'm be quite honest about that. These smaller changes, like something like the lips, or maybe just something like the smoke here, not getting what I want. But what I found is that when I'm doing it more so like step by step here, when I'm trying to work with the lips, I'm basically going and I'm changing and utilizing like pictures of lips. Like I just generate because I was like, oh, I don't have neon lips. I'm like, let me go get an image of neon lips or create an image of neon lips and then put it into the editor, right? As as basically like a sref and an image prompt, and then bang, like it comes out. So that was something that I think is like again, if you're not getting what you want, the best way I can try to explain this is if you're not getting like just this subtle edit of neon lips, what you want to do is go create an image of neon lips separately, bring it back in here, and then use it as an image prompt or an sref and just highlight the lips and you'll get it. So I kind of went nuts with this and I was just like, well, what can I do? Can I change the smoke? Because we started, let's see if I can go through this quickly here. Like we started here and then I was like, I want to change some of these sides here. I want to add some colored smoke, right? So I used an image reference here with some colored smoke because it wouldn't change the color for me when I wrote like orange smoke. But I was like, fine, let's use a style reference and an image reference, right? Both. And then we'll change the smoke. So then we kept going. Then I was like, oh, I want neon lips. Great. Let me add the neon lips. Cool. Now, again, let's add some stuff over here using I want a different texture of smoke, maybe a different color smoke. So I'm using this image as a style reference and as an image prompt. So now, again, you see how you can just keep going and adding to this and making it way more, is it perfect? No, is like this to me is way more of what I was looking for. It's like different textures of smoke here. We have like the silky, we have the puffy cloud, we have this like little wispy thin sort of look. So you can just keep going on forever. You keep filling in the zones over here with whatever you need. And then again, it's like utilizing and then testing different things. You can try to add different stuff. I don't know if that even looks good or not. But realistically, that was just something that I was finding very useful was, oh, I want this smoke. Text prompt is not getting me there. Let me use image and style weight or style reference to get it to what I want. So
That's interesting, right? If you're following along with us, we were talking about editor last time. We were wondering, hey, does style reference, could you go in editor and just to reiterate what Rory just showed, right? This is going into editor, making that change, and he's providing an sref and an image reference, right? Those were the two things that we were discussing on this pod, and we were just saying, hey, look, like, I wonder if you can do that, in editor. We tried it out. We showed you guys last week. We said, okay, yeah, it's possible. But we didn't really have a good use case for it yet. This, I think, is a great use case. The small changes, right? Because the things that you can do, and it's always been pretty good at, is the woman's wearing a shirt. Okay, a white shirt. Okay, let me select this, and all of a sudden I can change that to a brown jacket. Relatively easy to do. That's been that way since what was it? Very region was the original. Yeah,
Think
very
so.
region is what it was originally called, right? But like
We
you could
already
do that
forget.
even back then.
Yeah.
Now, like so I think that's important to note is like that's a really good use case for something that's a little bit smaller. There's not as many pixels involved to change it because if you're right, if you try to change something that's super small, not a big part of the image, it's very hard to add or change something. To take it away, easy. To
Yes.
update or add, much more difficult.
To be honest, if anyone's going to go try this, style reference does a pretty good job. Maybe you have to up the style weight, but when I really want it and get it on the first shot and don't want to play around, it's image prompting too. So I'm putting it in as an image reference and a style reference, doubling up. Really just for the smaller changes, it's not going to like totally affect. If you did the whole image, if you highlighted the whole image in editor, it might. But if you're, highlighting something like the lips, that's just really going to focus on the lips. And the reason why I went and generated elsewhere, just like I just want neon lips. I don't need any of the other features. I don't need to focus on anything else. Just give me lips, and then I'll go and use that as a reference image. Again, we've talked about it. We say it every episode probably. It's like building in pieces. It's not
Yep.
all one prompt. You'll get everything you want. Sometimes you want to get more creative and make some edits. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and like the other thing is this may not be something that you run into a lot, but this is another tool to put in the belt, right? If you run into these circumstances where you've got a great image and you're trying to build on top of it and you want to save and salvage what you've already created and build more versus start from scratch, right? Because sometimes I'll create a great image that's missing the extra 10 to 20%, and I want to keep that. How do I alter it? How do I update it? How do I get it to the final product? So I think that's an important note. So it sounds like, overall, editor's in a pretty good spot. Consensus between us, I'd say it's pretty good. Midjourney mentioned model releases. We've been talking for a while, 6.1, 6.2, 7. Okay. Well, today, office hours, do we do 6.2? Do we go straight to 7? Oh, okay. That's new. Haven't heard that before.
Are we closer than we thought?
We might be closer than we thought. So, they also gave us a little bit more than soon with V7. They did give us likely more than a month away. So as we're recording this, right, we're the last week of August. We've got a couple days left. What does that mean? Well, maybe end of September, first couple weeks of October, V7. I mean, and that's going to be a huge jump. Just to reiterate, that's going to be as big of a jump, if not bigger, than the one we saw between 5.2 to 6. You're thinking, how does it get better than this, right? So you stack on personalization, you stack on all these other things that they're upgrading. You talk about faster performance, you talk about image quality, you talk about coherence. But it seems like it's closer than we thought. So I'm excited about that. I mean, I think like just even a couple weeks ago, I was wondering like, is V7 gonna happen in Q4? Like, I don't even know.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think Midjourney feels pressure ever? Like, do you think they care that these other models are releasing and getting a lot of press and getting a lot of popularity? Because, you see something like Flux came onto the scene, burst on. They're from the creators of Stable Diffusion, so they know what they're doing when it comes to, having an API and really focusing on that type of business model. Then you see, we joked about this probably a couple weeks ago. I was like, does anyone even remember Ideogram? Does that even exist anymore? They come out with a new model, fairly decent. Flux gets integrated into Kriya. And it's like, do you think they feel any pressure ever? Because they don't do any press. They don't talk about anything. There's no one on camera. There's no one posting anything. It's like, do they even care? Like, I don't know if they're worried about losing market share. They don't have investors. So, like, is it a thing, or are they just in their own world? Like, those are the longest question of all time. But
hey, we love it, dude. I honestly don't know, because my vibe that I get when I'm on office hours is David is just so, is like very level-headed, unemotional when it comes to things like that. So it's hard to really get a read on it. The way that I look at that, just as a business professional, and maybe you do too, is just like he's been in the trenches before. So that's number one. No investors. So that's number two. I get this sense that this feels like a altruistic, personal vision, moving the pieces forward toward the future and having some sort of fingerprint on it. But you're going to get to that point, right, where how much ego do you have?
Yeah.
How much insecurity do you have? How much pressure do you have, even without the investors? So I think that's a good question. It's really hard for me to really feel one way or the other about it. I think you have to at some sort of degree. To what degree? I have no idea. No idea.
Like you might lose some casuals to, ideogram because it can do text. It's like, okay, cool. Like, I understand it, guys. If you love ideogram, go ahead. I'm coming at it from someone who knows how to add text in post production, so it's really never been a thing for me. I've never been like, I need text. So, like, it's never been personally, this is my opinion. It's never been like a deciding factor on whether I'm using a tool or not.
Same.
But for what I'm seeing with Flux now, maybe I jumped the gun in saying that it was kind of not at the Midjourney level. It's not there from a creativity standpoint or a control standpoint, but the quality is good. And from having the ability to train LoRa's and build APIs off of it, yeah, it's awesome. That's great. But again, still, when you look at what we just talked about, every little piece of the editor feature, the parameters, the control, the creativity, the little built-in sort of with the SREF codes, a little treasure hunt within. I think what Midjourney's done is build the most rock-solid product community that I can remember, where I don't really care what they do. I'm still diehard. You know what I mean?
You got a lot of diehards.
Yeah.
Totally on with that, because the casuals are these people that I see where they're just like, yeah, I, stopped using Midjourney a couple months ago. What's going on over there? And it's just like, oh, why'd you stop using it? Like, where did you go? Because if you really understood what was possible, you wouldn't stop using it. You definitely wouldn't be switching a whole nother tool, because the way that I look at it is like, we've gone so far into Midjourney, something would have to be fucking amazing. You know what I mean? For me to even start really going deep into something, because like, whether you like it or not, you kind of put a stake in the ground. And I think part of it's luck, part of it's intuition, part of it's like experience. But like, one of the things that stood out to me initially was like, this feels like the one I want to attach myself to. And at that time, right, when it was Stable Diffusion or Midjourney.
Yeah.
What are you doing? So for me, like I remember a friend of a friend who, he was all in on Stable Diffusion. I was all in on Midjourney, both photographers. He would only talk about Stable Diffusion. I would only talk about Midjourney, and it's just like, yeah, like this is where I'm at. Like I just love Midjourney. And again, like I think we've talked about this as a thread throughout these episodes, but Midjourney builds a community. These other ones don't have a community, right? Flux, cool. Does it have a place for people to interact outside of the social channels or threads or the replies and comments? Like, no. Do you need that? Like, is that a necessity? No, but community is what, like, if you go to any business, the gold standard is to have a community of advocates that do the selling for you. That's what Midjourney's got. That's what Midjourney's got.
Yeah.
I mean, Flux has it to a degree of people are bragging. Flux caught up to Midjourney, like,
Yeah.
R.I.P. Midjourney.
Oh my God.
How many times? Like,
The
R.I.P.
Midjourney killer.
R.I.P. Chat GPT. Like, get the
Go.
fuck out of here. What are we, what are we doing? Because no, like, you're just literally trying to get a hook clickbait.
Yeah.
But no, like, I think that's part of it. Like, Midjourney just, again, has so many of these differentiators that, to me, and going back to your question, maybe the longest answer ever to the longest question ever.
There we go.
Is just like, they've been true to themselves and just totally doing their own thing. I have no idea how much they're paying to the competition. It just seems like enough. Like, they know enough, and that's it. They're Michael Phelps in the water. That whole meme with the dude from, what was he, like South Africa back in the 2016 Olympics? Dude, look at this. And remember, there was like that meme where Phelps is swimming in the water, and it was the whole thing of like, dude, winners do not care.
Oh,
where second place
that was
is
a
at.
great
Second place was looking at first place.
Yeah.
First place ain't looking at second place. So I think part of that's true in the sense that Midjourney knows where they're at, but they're not worried about it. And I think that's also, again, goes back to all those other things that we mentioned with the investors and their vision and more this like authentic, altruistic vision behind it. So that's the 2 cents.
You know what you just reminded me of? What this feels like, especially like when it was just Midjourney and Stable Diffusion. It felt like the difference between Mac and like PC back in the
Yeah, it
day.
did,
It
right?
was like,
Yeah.
you know, Stable Diffusion was your PC, very technical, could do a ton of stuff, could really, if you knew what you were doing, you could do whatever you wanted with it. Mac came around and like packaged it up in a very easy way, digestible way. They made it fun. Think about things like chaos and weird. Like, you're not seeing that in other image generators where maybe, some like Leonardo and stuff like that. But really, calling a parameter weird and just saying like, we don't even know
Yeah.
what it is. It's just like a random number and you're going to get a random output. It's like, okay, cool. So that to me is what also is interesting. There feels like a personality behind it, which I think is also easy to latch onto because it's not so technical like as Stable Diffusion or some of the stuff in Comfy UI or Flux or whatever. It makes it's just more, it's built for the people to make it easier for them. And that's, regardless of if people think it's easy or not. There's a lot of people who think it's like the most complicated tool on the face of the planet. We've just been in it for so long, so I get it. But I was just thinking it when you were talking about it, I was thinking about that commercial. I think it was probably one of the best commercials of all time. It was like the
Justin
guy,
Long.
yes, that
Justin
one.
Long, and then the other
best.
dude. Yeah.
I mean, that was probably the most simple but like perfect encapsulation of the entire thing because it was like you knew everyone that looked like that dude who had a PC, and you knew everyone that looked like that dude that had a Mac.
That was low key savage, but they knew their target audience. They knew what their go to market strategy was in terms of like who they need to adopt it. They were almost going to the future generation of who's going to be using this tech. Whereas like, hey, the tech launched and instantly you're going to the people that are old enough to appreciate it versus like kind of that beginning of the spectrum, the long term vision, but also like the cool thing. And 40, 50-year-olds, maybe some care about cool. Most of them don't, right? Like, I mean, we're dads now, dude. I mean, diminishing returns on cool.
No, way down. Way down.
But you know what I mean? But yeah, fascinating question. Fascinating question. I mean, we could talk about that for a long time, but I do think that's something that we've constantly talked about with Midjourney. So yeah.
I'm always curious because we never get anything from you guys. Midjourney, I'm talking directly to you. Please just give us something every once in a while, other than a random tweet. Maybe just for us. Maybe just on the maybe just give us a little insight on the Discord. Who are you guys?
Yeah,
yeah.
A lot of people ask. They ask me, so I know they're asking you to. Are they paying you to talk about me? No. I wish.
Please, we'll take donations.
Yeah, we're degenerates, just like you, because you're listening to this. But
oh god,
yeah. So going back to the C62 V7. We kind of covered some of that. Like, what do you expect from a V7? Obviously, it's just going to be a huge jump. Now, we've talked about the image quality. How good can that get? I think we're getting there. We're getting very close in terms of like a static image. How good can that get? I would even say in some cases, depending on what the prompt is, like you could get something that just seems like too much right now. I mean, you could even before when you really ramp stylize up, but now you add in something like personalization, stylize, like you can get there. It's just then what? So that's what we've gone back to. Then I think it's really like the manipulation of the tool, which brings me to the next point, which is like depth control.
Yeah.
That's something that's in dev. So they're just trying to sort of think about how they present that in the UI right now. We don't really know. It's going to feel different from what we know about Midjourney creations in that aspect. I think that's going to open some doors into things like consistency, posing, depth, accuracy within the depth, like tighten those things up, some of those loose things that still exist in the tool and the platform. So looking forward to that. I have no idea what to expect with that, honestly, because look, I know Stable Diffusion's had depth control. Have I been in Stable Diffusion? Guys, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I've never been in Stable Diffusion. I just haven't. But I've been in Leonardo, right, which is a part of that, and so I do know that like posing is super important. If you're going for a photo shoot, you're talking about like some of these really specific use cases and verticals where you're looking for consistency and character reference and like things like that. Like this is going to be huge too. Now, again, huge challenge with UX UI. How do you build that in a way that doesn't start to overwhelm people, because Midjourney's trying to keep this gap not too wide. I think, like, if I'm thinking about this is my company, you're going to have power users, but you also want to feel like you're providing a good enough new user experience where the learning curve isn't too much either, right? Like,
Yeah.
are there nuances and intricacies that you're going to discover as part of putting in reps and hours and time? Yeah, of course. But like, I think that's got to be at least part of the vision there too.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they do it. They'll probably make it very similar to what they've done with like style reference, that type of experience, maybe. Just a guess. I don't know. I'm really interested to see because this one doesn't seem like an easy add to the site, if that makes sense. Like I didn't think the editor was going to be easy. They did it in, I don't know, like a week and made it like all flow together. So I'm not smart enough to do the dev work like that, of course, or to even conceptualize that. So I'm curious about that. I mean, look, I would love I would love to have the control net feature. I would also love more of an update on the character reference. I mean, it was very interesting what they did with character weight in the initial phases of it. I love that they actually can, again, conceptualize that as well. But would really just like to see an update on that one.
I feel pretty good that that's going to coincide with V7. Now, I don't have that in the office hours notes, but that's something that is high on those suggestions. It's something they brought up in the past. But like character reference, I think has got to be a huge part of it. Multiple characters, consistency, tightening up the consistency. It's close in a lot of ways. Sometimes you get the same person, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's close enough where you can pull it off, right?
Because that's going back to our last, giant question here. I think that's probably where they're losing people. I know a lot of people now with the rise of the image to video models, they're really like, they want to tell stories and they want to have consistent characters, and Midjourney's not doing it for them. I mean, look, granted, you can do it. I do it all the time. It's only because I spend so much time on the damn platform that I know exactly what to do, how to get to what I want. It's not simply replicable. It does take some testing every once in a while. But with that disclaimer being said, I know there's a bunch of people who have left Midjourney and gone to other tools to either, one, train Laura's, or two, just something that has more consistent character features because they want to go then put it into Runway or put it into Luma or put it into Kling or whatever else is out there now at this point. But it's a big thing because everyone is looking to do it. And that's, again, they're working on video, so they're not concerned. But at the same time, if we're talking about like market share, like people want to do that. That's why style reference was so big, because we wanted consistent styles so we could tell a consistent story. They're going to want that as they start to build your worlds, as we say. Like we're going to build these 3D worlds. But it all starts with character reference. I'm surprised it hasn't gotten an update. It felt like they threw us a bone there with that one. It was look, we just wanted something and they gave it to us.
It's good enough.
Yeah. To say we got it.
Hey, look, like the other thing too is I have no idea their employee count right now. It's still low, right? Like and so I have honestly, just to give them credit again, I have no idea how they keep up, let alone stay ahead in certain categories than other companies.
Who knows? We know nothing about you guys. This is all conjecture. We don't know anything.
By the way, did you say video? Because we have an update on video.
Oh, let's talk about it.
So 3D and video models. Last time, just kind of brought up 3D. Now, all of a sudden, video seems like it's further ahead than 3D. Didn't know that. So here's what they said on last office hours. Possible release of V6 video model before V7. When did I say V7 was going to launch? They said about likely a month away. A little over a month away. So they're talking about video
get it
capabilities.
in like 2 weeks?
Video capabilities might come before 3D features. Possible release of V6 video model before V7.
What are they doing? Why are you doing
What
this
are
to
we?
me?
I know. That's what I'm saying, dude. This is like, it changes every week. So here's what they mentioned. 3D model is the collection's nearing completion there. They're not testing it yet. It's not fine-tuning it yet. Video model development progressing faster than expected all of a sudden. So maybe there was an unlock there, but now that's been pushed up. I was almost 100% certain we weren't going to see video in 2024 from Midjourney. I mean,
I didn't think so either at all. Didn't even consider it.
They've been saying that 3D was ahead of video for months now. In my mind, I was thinking 2025 video, Q1, cool. Like, good with that time frame, like 6 months away, like
Yeah.
still exciting as hell. But yeah, like so that's been pushed up. They're debating whether to release earlier versions to, I guess, gather data with the videos, but we'll see. I think though, based on what they've talked about with 3D and video specifically, I feel like they're gonna hold back longer to release something than some of these like static image updates, right? Like so when we talk
Hmm.
about things like character reference, just as a first example that rolls off the tip of my tongue, I would expect anyway, is that the 3D and video model's gonna be pretty damn good. Are there gonna
Yeah.
be updates that need to happen? Of course, but like I feel like that V1's gonna be pretty fire. We'll see.
When was the last time they released something and you were just like, eh? Like, I mean, seriously. I mean, when was it like, oh, this doesn't work or this sucks? I think a lot of people felt that way about the website initially, but they made so many changes so quick. It was like, I kind of love the website. I mean,
Did you feel that way about the website? I'm trying to remember.
no.
Like I just our generation, like give me the website.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a Discord guy. Did I mind it? No. Like obviously, like I had generated thousands of images in Discord, but like going through the evolution of that, you get me a website like that feels way more natural, way more organic to me. I don't care what the setup is. If it's a tool I'm already using, I'm going to find my way around there, no problem. And I thought like, just given the fact that it was an alpha, they're only giving certain people access. So you're like, this isn't even a beta. This could be disgusting.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it was pretty good, like right away. They iterated on that very quickly and it's become a lot better. But like even in that first version was great.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that was, it was like the only reason that we were concerned about it or like not loving it from the minute it dropped is because you couldn't have there was no shared feature, like there's no shared rooms. You couldn't
Yeah.
like organize channels. You couldn't like do some of the other like things like custom zoom. So there was like a few things that was oh damn it. Go back
Yeah.
and forth, but it wasn't I just really cannot remember like a moment for I think maybe I'll be honest, style reference codes. I was just kind of like in my own head. I'm like, what is the use for this? Like, I couldn't
Well,
conceptualize it yet.
I,
Now I see
I
it,
couldn't
but
either. But do
yeah,
you remember the way that they pitched that? It wasn't style codes. It was like SREF random.
yeah,
That was the way that they pitched it. And I was like, why the hell would I want just like a random SREF? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I know what I want. I know what I want to create. So, like, the expectation versus the reality was probably disjointed. But that to me, I agree with, right? I think I was the same way. I was just like, I heard about that in office hours before it launched. And it was like, who the hell wants that? Like, random? I
yeah.
don't want random. Like, I want to create. I know the things that I like.
But
But
that
yeah, I think
was,
that's the one. Yeah.
and then I was like, is Midjourney trying to do like a fast hours grab with this? If I just try to keep going down the rabbit hole and like, oh, maybe I'll
Right.
find a cool code. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
find a cool code. Is there like a golden ticket here? And then it's just like before I know it, 60 hours is gone and I haven't created anything else I need. But they've created like a sub culture within Midjourney of like people who are just trying to unlock that stuff and like keep going. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not my cup of tea every day. I do it every once in a while, but I know there's like a whole subgroup. It's just like I'm trying to find like those golden tickets in the the needle in the haystack because you see it everywhere, right?
That's
I
where it
mean,
gets down to like how much are you creating for personal? How much are you creating for something like a job or a client or whatever, right? Because I agree. I've gone down the style code stuff. I revisit it from time to time. I'll spend like a couple days where I'm all in on it. I'll find some cool codes. I'll use them. But then, like, what's the end goal? We've talked about this with a branding perspective last episode. It's like if it has to do with branding, I'm just going with the style ref in general. I'm going for an image that I can get a very specific take on, a code, much more random. I would have to unlock something that felt like it was just, it's not an efficient way to go about branding. Like if you had one already identified, sure. And that was where it was going into like this idea of third party, SREF code sites that exist, and then you can filter through that. And I saw somebody comment on, last pod. They were like, "Yeah, here are a few sites that have that." And I was like, "Okay, well that makes sense." Like then you could sort through those. I have no idea how deep those repositories are because billions of codes. But yeah, like it has been fun to play with. There are some ones where I'm just like obsessed. A couple days go by, obsession wears off. And again, like it's like how much are you creating for yourself? What's the outcome that you're looking to achieve with it? And so I think that's where it's like how much of it is play and fun versus an actual outcome. So
because this is the problem here because I'm thinking like in marketing terms and branding terms. I remember when Snapchat did this a while back, and everything went from like they created like branded filters. I don't know if you remember this, where it was like, oh, we can do like Burger King or something, and like you put your face on like the Burger King. There's an opportunity there. I'm not saying Midjourney would ever do it. I'm not saying do it, but if they wanted to monetize something like that, where it's dash dash sref McDonald's, and it came out in like McDonald's style. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
they could do that. I'm not saying they ever will, but you can see like they've built pieces like this for external monetization if they ever needed to, because there is opportunities within it if they wanted, if they wanted to do that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I don't know if they will. I think
Ooh, that's a cool idea, bro. I like
Yeah.
that. Also, the other thing that they mentioned too was they've toyed around with the idea of adding more than 4 images that you get back with
Heyo.
a job and a generation. So is that 8? Is that 12? Is it 16? Sounds like it's going to stay in some sort of multiple of 4. But it sounds like the challenge with that is adapting the website, the UI to fit that. So I have no idea how soon that will happen. I do think it will happen. That opens some doors too. Like you get 4, very digestible. I mean, if you were to run something and you get back 16, I mean, you're just getting to the end result faster, I feel like. So I don't know
Yeah.
how it would be necessarily a bad thing, but super interesting, to think about with that.
Yeah, you'd have to run some. To me, I'd have to run some chaos on a 16 image generation.
Yeah. Oh,
Because if you got 16 of the same exact thing and they all
yeah,
sucked,
yeah.
like
They
you're
would
just
have
like,
to
damn it.
be.
Or you hit a typo and you're just like, bang, 16 images. It's like, shit. you left in like,
Yeah, dude,
left
you're
in the
done.
wrong,
Fast
yeah,
hours.
Oh my god. See
Good
ya.
luck trying to stop them. And of course, it would run like turbo mode during that
Yeah.
time, so you can't stop them. So
3x the cost. Sorry. How many times you run? I mean, I run mistakes all the time. So many typos. So many.
Same.
Oh man, I that, or just I'll take out like click off the image reference or something, or the style reference, and forget to take out like image weight or style weight, and then it's like, sorry, cannot compute. You didn't. There's no style ref identified. I'm like, fine. God damn it.
yeah,
Happens to me 70 times a day minimum. So
brutal. There are some other updates. Let's like skim through some of the stuff, like
Yeah,
mobile and
let's-
desktop apps. They're gonna continue to develop mobile. If you haven't used mobile, there's still some things lagging on mobile from the website. For example, editor, I don't think is on mobile still. So like you still have to go in and do the repaint, reframe as separate tabs, things like that. Other UI improvements. They did mention Style Explorer development on hold. So let's rip through some of these last few notes here. With mobile and desktop apps, they mentioned some notes there. Nothing huge, but if you've been using mobile with Midjourney, you know that some of those features are just lagging behind a little bit. Editor is a great example of that. So if you're using Midjourney on mobile, you can't currently use Editor in its sort of instance that you would use it on the website. You have to sort of use repaint and reframe like you did prior to Editor. So that's important to note. They're also thinking about, developing a desktop app. I have no idea like how important that is, or like if that would make a big difference to me as a Mac user. No, like I think I have enough things pinned to the bottom of my thing that I'm just so used to going to the website. So if the website's functional, and as long as the app isn't just this like holy spirit of a better experience, like it doesn't matter to me. So let's move on. Like I think the other key thing that we can focus in on that was launched and is live now is their personality test. So their psychographic test that they launched. They've been talking about this for a little bit. If you think back, maybe like 2 months, this was before the first survey came out. And maybe it was longer than that, but they mentioned, hey, we're going to do at least 2 tests. We want to really understand the users. We also want to understand, do people from certain backgrounds or races or religions or characteristics or attributes or personalities associate with different types of images that they create? Are there patterns to uncover here? Are there insights to glean? That kind of thing. And so they did follow through on that. That just launched. I just did the test. I think in talking to you before the episode, you just did the personality test. 181 questions. Whew!
Yeah.
Takes a little bit of time. I would say like good 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes, just depending on how much you're thinking about the questions. But
Little
at
introspection. Little maybe a call to your therapist after, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It seems like this test is more usable and driving the experience than the previous test.
Oh yeah.
This is much more, and I pulled a couple of examples up in terms of like what some of these questions were. So let me see here. Okay, so like some of the questions that you see are I often have the feeling that others laugh or talk about me. I'm often bored. And you're rating these things from accurate to inaccurate, right? And so you've got multiple stops in between, like slightly true, moderately true, slightly false, moderately false, right? I have difficulty imagining things. I try to avoid speaking in public. I often stop to analyze how I'm feeling. I'm always prepared. I have time for play and relaxation. I'm a firm believer in thinking things through. I read a large variety of books. So, like, these are the types of questions. I think they're all across the board. Of course, this is optional. If you don't feel comfortable answering these things, you don't have to. It's interesting just reading through the disclaimer. I'm not really worried about how they're going to use it. To me, in 2024, if you want to know something about me, chances are you probably can find it. So
It's out there.
forget it.
Google. Ooh, I should probably stop myself before I say anything like that on YouTube. But I was just about to go into it. I'm gonna stop. You know, this is for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought there was some other interesting questions in there. I was like, hey, you believe in a higher presence. I was like,
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, interesting. There was like, do you get violent or something like that? It was one question that was like, do you get like aggressive or things like that?
Have you physically
Yeah.
harmed somebody? I think was a question.
Yes. I was like, all right, Midjourney, are we narking on us here? Like, what's going on? But
We're worried about this user. His name's Rory Flynn. We are worried about this guy. Like, off the
imagine that's
rails
how
on
they
the
got
spectrum.
somebody. They caught me, like just in
man.
some sort of crime. They doctored up a personality test for me. But what was really cool that I thought about it was the aggregation of the other personality tests that they kind of like that in itself. What they did for the personality test is a whole service in itself that they could probably charge money for.
So
I'm not
true.
saying right. It was interesting how I'm guessing they utilized AI to pull the questions together. They probably took it from sort of a knowledge base of those 6 or 7 tests, whatever it was. And they built their own tests, and then they were able to translate it across all and give you like your profile for each one of them. Which I'm like, genius.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. You got 181 question survey from Adobe, from Flux. You
Yeah.
answering that?
No.
You answering that?
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Like,
no.
So how long have you been using Adobe products?
Oh, God. 12 years? More?
Okay. And you're
Yeah.
not filling that out. I've been using probably not 12 years. I'm not filling that out. I'm not filling
No.
that. So like when we go back to the difference and we talk about these things like community, advocacy, evangelism of like promoting the product, even though you don't have to, we're not getting paid to do this podcast. We're not getting paid to post on LinkedIn or Twitter or X now to talk about Midjourney. Like that's our choice. That's the ultimate play. And you're just not going to get that, even from a company like Adobe, even from a new, sort of product like Flux that's just blowing the doors off because it's the brand new kid on the block. You're not going to get people to fill out 181 questions. You're just not.
The problem with Flux is if Flux is the flavor of the moment and it's great and it's a utility, right? Like I see it as a utility. I've used it. It's good. Don't get me wrong. Like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just if a tool came out that does exactly what Flux does and is better, then I'll shift to that one. Do you know what I mean? It's not like Midjourney. I'll stay on it because it has my creative heart, if you want to put it that way. It's just I can do creatively what I want on there. I know I can, and I can do a lot of random stuff, and it'll always just be like an outlet for me. So it's carved that niche. Like I said, if I need to go train a LoRa model and Flux is great right now, but Stable Diffusion updates and it's better, I'm going to go use Stable Diffusion. It's not like I have any loyalty to Flux to do it. So it's that community. It also just feels, I know Adobe's corporate. Like, you know what I mean? Like I know all the crap that's been going on for years, some good, some bad, whatever. It doesn't feel like that because number one, we don't know what they're doing ever. So ignorance is bliss. We have no idea what's going on, and it's great. It just feels like they just listen and do what we're asking, and they kind of don't take any bullshit from anyone and just drive forward, do what your community says, appease the people, and then move forward. Adobe, on the other hand, we know what's going on there. That's profits, killer product, but at the end of the day, it's like, who cares about you? That's what I mean.
Totally. Yeah,
So-
that's a really good crux in terms of like what we're talking about here. What we talk about in sales and marketing, it's you're looking for the stickiness of any product. And the hardest part is not just the selling. It doesn't stop at making the sell. So once somebody decides to pay for Midjourney, the harder part comes down to implementation, adoption, like getting this to be a habit and then forming a relationship with the product. And that's what Midjourney's done here. So props
Can
to
we
them.
talk about, from a branding perspective, you're the branding guy, might be one of the most genius one words of all time. And it makes it different than every other platform. It's just the word imagine. Like everyone else had prompt, and that's where you put your prompt in. And prompt, again, sounds like PC, and imagine sounds like Mac. It's just like imagine. It's such a genius one word.
Did they come up with that? I
don't know.
legitimately don't know. I legitimately do not know.
But it was, at the time, it was just like you went on there and it's like, how do I
agree.
start this prompt? It's like you type
Yes.
/imagine. If you're just new to the platform, you don't remember this, or you never knew this. It was when you went on Discord, the way to start a prompt was you had to type /imagine, and that's how your prompt started. I mean, the first time I was on there, I was just typing away prompts and pushing.
Don't
enter,
you
nothing
forget
was
it
happening.
because you're going to get that error and nothing's
Yeah.
going to happen. So you better remember it. Yeah. But yeah, it was genius because it's like, imagine, like you literally connect that with the possibilities of what you can create. I mean, those two things together, genius move, whether it's planned or not.
I mean, that might be one of those things that were just like, we should call it something else, and someone's probably just like, I don't know, just write like imagine, and we're like overanalyzing it as if it's like this,
It's 100%.
epic level branding. Probably some dudes at like 2 a.m. been like
100%,
working
dude.
all night, just sitting around like, what do we call this? I don't know, fucking imagine, whatever. Move on. we're like, oh my god, imagine, but it works. It works. Sometimes that stuff's the best. Like when you just threw out Midjourney fast hours, and I was just like, dude, that hits. That works. Don't even have to think about it twice. Just the first time. So it connects the dots. Well,
Hey, brother, it's getting late.
yeah.
Guys, we're burning the candle over here. We are, what time is it?
10:20.
10:30 during the week. This guy's, you flying out tomorrow? You're flying out tomorrow.
Still
Yeah.
got to pack.
Let's wrap this thing up, baby. Obviously, there are a ton of updates, so we felt compelled to really deliver this, especially with us not being able to connect at our normal time during the week. Rory's traveling. I've got some things going on this week, so we're glad we're able to deliver that to you. As always, if you're not following along on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, just double check. Are you subscribed? Are you followed? Have you left a review? Because you should. All the reviews help. We've received so many comments, especially on YouTube, dude, that is just like reinforcing the fact that this is such a much needed discussion that needs to happen within the community. This is a great outlet for both of us, obviously selfishly, but also at the same time to really like deliver this and open up more of a discussion that happens outside of office hours that seems a little bit more accessible, because office hours, it's not recorded. You can't go back and visit it. So this is special. Thank you guys for joining us. Rory, anything you want to say before we dip?
No, very eloquent, especially, the people that have been showing up for every episode, telling us how much fun they're having with it, and just like, feel like they're sitting in a room with us, having a beer, having a conversation. It's good. Keeps us going. Makes us feel like we're doing the right thing. So like and subscribe, please. Thank you. And then we'll catch you guys soon.
Absolutely. Midjourney After Dark. We might have to run that back, dude. I like the Midjourney After Dark. We might
I
have to
like it.
change the recording schedule.
Can at least drink during it,
That's right.
Not in the middle of the
That's
day.
right, man. Absolutely, brother. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
Later, man. See ya.